So, FIDO's mission is to reduce the world's reliance on passwords, right? And passkeys are a better alternative than passwords and legacy forms of MFA. So I just gave a talk earlier today, shared some updated numbers, and we estimate there's over 15 billion accounts that can use passkeys. In reality, probably 2 billion plus are in active use today, which is a very big number, right? So a lot of people are using passkeys, which is fantastic. And we just introduced this concept around 3 years ago, which in one way sounds like a long time, but in other ways it's really not that long, right? So 3 years ago, when we introduced the term passkey, we introduced two things. One was the ability for the private key and the FIDO key pair to be securely synchronized and readily available across devices, which
is huge. It was a huge,
very fundamental shift. Yeah. It is huge and also contentious. I was at this very same conference where people were up in arms about this, also excited but also concerned, and both were legitimate, right? Good reason to be excited, also good reason to be concerned.
What was the concern?
Well, the concern was that it is changing the FIDO security model, letting the private key, leave the device for the first time. But we did that in the name of usability, all right? And so we can come back to that in a second. So we introduced Passkeys doing that, but also for the first time having a brand and a logo program associated with FIDO. Right? So people have been doing WebAuthn and FIDO2 for years, but there wasn't any commonality to it, right? And every site had a different way of telling you what you're doing. And so by one, pivoting towards making passkeys more FIDO, more usable, and two, giving them a name, we set the stage for where we sit today, which is where 75% of consumers are familiar with passkeys.
That's great.
75% of people, if you ask people, have you heard of a passkey? More people will say yes than no, which is amazing. It's absolutely amazing. So on a couple fronts, one, it's great because now companies that are thinking about deploying passkeys can do so with confidence, right? The early adopters are, well, how am I going to explain this to people? Are people going to know what's happening? The fact of the matter is, the answer now is yes, because most people are at least familiar with it, more likely have used a passkey on another site. The other benefit on a personal level is that I don't need to explain what my job is to people. I meet people, I can explain what a passkey is. Because generally, if you say, well, I lead a standards organization, no one knows what that means. But if you say, yeah, I'm helping get rid of passwords in favor of passkeys, everyone's like, oh, yeah, I get that. I like passkeys. So, yeah, there's a lot of awareness of passkeys, and we're seeing good adoption across the board.